Hello, everybody. Of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, go ahead and hit that like button as well. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and hit that notification bell for shows like this one in the future.
ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. As well, if you are on Twitter, go ahead and hit us up on Periscope on Twitter. And as well, you can go ahead and check us out on my personal page at X_Williams81. All righty, then. Y'all know why y'all are here. We do this every Tuesday night. We recap the NFL week, and this week it is week 11. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, my friend Ishmael, let's check in on you and see how you're doing today. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Ready for these Thanksgiving holidays. So,
Little Turkey Day, Turkey Day. I know some people have already had Friendsgiving over the last weekend. I've seen some
hmm
people are having Friendsgiving today. Of course, probably gonna have it tomorrow. There's gonna be some people that's gonna be turkeyed out before you even get to Thanksgiving. So
oh, for sure,
shout
for
out,
sure.
shout out to y'all. That's okay with that. I'm sorry, that's capable of having multiple Thanksgiving plates throughout the week. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Ish. About after two plates of Thanksgiving, I love that. Don't get me wrong. I love Thanksgiving. I love the food, but I'm good. I don't need to have Thanksgiving for 3, 4, 5 days after Thanksgiving. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too huge on the leftovers, but at the same time, it don't hurt.
Definitely don't hurt, especially when you go and get some fruit from all your family members and you got leftovers from 4 or 5 days free food. That's nothing wrong with that at
Mm-hmm,
all. Like I talked about on the Sunday show, I know I will be here for Thursday pregame show. Ish might not be here, but it's okay. We might have a fill in for that Thursday. We'll let Ish have his Thursday off to, of course, host his nice family get together at
mm-hmm,
his house. So I won't bug you too much on that Thursday. But I will say, if you don't mind, go ahead and, of course, turn that TV on X Talking Ish to watch your boy and have a family member watch your boy pregame the shows. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the games, and we'll, some of these games we'll kind of bypass rather quickly, and some of these other games, of course, we'll talk about a little bit more in depth. Um, this is one of those games where we're not going to talk about too much, but I will say this: this game, to me, kind of uh, how can I say it? It turned into exactly what I thought it was going to turn into when I talked about it on Sunday. The Bears actually had an opportunity to win the game or even tie the game with the last opportunity. I'm sorry, with having the ball at the end of the game to try to tie this game up. Fortunately, it didn't happen. Also, Justin Fields got hurt in this game too, and not only did the Bears take a loss on the field, they also, of course, took a loss with Justin Fields. Hopefully, he's not going to be out for too long. But let's be real, this offense really runs on Justin Fields. And the Falcons won this game by 3, covered the spread, did what they were supposed to do. And in reality, for the Falcons, they are not far out of the NFC South to win that division. It is not impossible that they can't make a playoff appearance this season by winning the division. So, Ish, I will throw it to you. We know who these two teams are this year. I'll ask you this: who has the brighter future in the next 3 years, the Bears or the Falcons?
Um, I think if you're looking at it today, you got to say the Falcons because of the pieces that they already have, the young pieces they already have in place to build upon, and then what they've been able to show so far this year, especially when people thought that they weren't going to be in contention for the NFC South, and you see where they are now. Just being I think they're like a game back of Tampa Bay. So I definitely think the Falcons at the moment, but I think the Bears aren't far behind depending on how they build this offseason. Because I think we've seen what Justin Fields is capable of, and that's without what many will consider the top weapons as wide receiver. So you got to think if they're able to put a couple more pieces in place, maybe on the offensive line, maybe get a little bit more help on the defensive side of the ball as well. This could be a team that next year we still don't know what the Packers are going to look like next year either, right? So the NFC North is going to be next year. I'm expecting everybody's going to think it's the Vikings to lose. So, Packers could definitely come in and the Bears could definitely come in and make some noise. So we'll have to see how they build in the offseason. But as of right now, the Falcons for sure have the brighter future.
We'll have to agree with you. Both of these teams, Bears have won a Super Bowl in their tenure. The Falcons have yet to win a Super Bowl. The Falcons have been to multiple Super Bowls though in their tenure. So it's not like both of these teams can't make it to the ultimate goal. Both of these teams can make a Super Bowl. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year or in the next 3 years, but at least they have that type of pedigree within them that maybe they can make a run. Maybe Arthur Smith is the right coach for these Falcons moving forward. Maybe, again, that in the beginning when he first took over, I think there were a lot of question marks. Just not having enough experience, not just as a head coach. Obviously, this is his first head coaching job, but mainly as a play caller, as a coordinator coming through the Titans rank. I think a lot of people had question marks of him being a head coach. I think he's done well so far. I think there are times that he's a rookie head coach, so he's learning on the job. There's some things that he did wrong. There's some things he's done right. But for him to continue to keep learning and growing with the core that he has, I think you have to give your hats off to them and the crew. For the Bears, what it really comes down to, let's be realistic, it comes down to is everybody on board with making Justin Fields and the rest of the crew that much better. Are we going to have a coaching carousel and a round robin of don't know who's going to be on the offensive side? Because we know the defense is going to be taken care of. Besides them trading all their damn defensive players this year, the defensive side is going to be taken care of in Chicago. It's can the offense do what it needs to do to form a cohesive unit to be a top team in the NFC. That is the question that needs to be answered over the next couple of years. So we'll see what happens with that. Move on to the Browns versus the Bills. Now, of course, if you remember, not just from our show, letting you guys know that this game has moved to Detroit. If you keep up, of course, our guy Adam Scheffler, he told everybody that this game was moved from Buffalo to Detroit due to the crazy snowstorm that they had in Buffalo. The Bills obviously ends up winning this game 31-23. Of course, they will stay in Detroit because they also will be playing the Lions this upcoming Thursday as well. It seems as though the Bills are back on track. I think the Browns are a good test to that. Again, the Browns aren't who they were in the last couple of years, and that's even with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. The Browns, I feel as though, are a better team just this year. Let's just be real. It's just they're not who they are unless Deshaun Watson was. If Deshaun Watson was a starter from week one and they are where they are, I would be worried. But nobody really expected Jacoby Brissett to go 8-2, 7-3 with this team. He's played well. If you go look at the numbers, you go look at that style of play that Jacoby Brissett has played for this Browns team, I honestly feel like he's been playing very well. It's just they have not been able to put all these pieces together in Cleveland to stay in the mix in the AFC North. Even with Watson coming back, which will be in about 2 more weeks here in Houston, it's over. I mean, I don't know about you, Ish. I don't know how you feel about it, but this season's over for the Browns. You might as well wrap it up and get ready for 2023.
Yeah, season's over for the Browns. Over and done with. The Bills, this is a good win with all the adversity that was going on, everything that happened. Excuse me, a very good win for them. For the Browns, it's all about getting Deshaun Watson reps, giving him that time back on the field. hoping that he's able to kind of push through that throughout the end of this season and look forward to next season. For the Bills, just more of the same, really. You got to beat the Lions, and then hopefully you're able to, get all the snow and stuff cleared out and go back home and look forward to continuing this march to the playoffs.
Yes, sir. They should take care of business on Thursday, but we'll talk about the Lions very soon. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Lions give them a little run for their money. I expect the Bills to win that game, but it's Thanksgiving. It's in Detroit. Most likely it means the Lions are going to lose this game. So I expect the Lions to do what they do best, and that's wet the bed. So we'll see what happens on Thursday. Let's stick with wetting the bed. Let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. They hosted the Philadelphia Eagles and I don't know about you, Ish, but I feel like the Colts missed a very, 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 very big opportunity being able to upset a premier team and maybe even a Super Bowl favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Colts had the Eagles on the ropes, and no Rocky pun intended, but seriously could have pulled off the upset. I don't know about you, Ish, but I was definitely worried about my pick at one point in time. I didn't know if the Eagles were going to be able to come back and win this game. But not only did they win this game, Ish, while I was watching the Eagles this past Sunday, I think this was a very, very good test for them, adversity-wise. We saw them lose, of course, last week, first loss of the season. A lot of people joked on them, it's the Commanders, blah, 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 right? It's a divisional game. Things like that happen. It is what it is. And sooner or later, they're going to lose a game. There's no way in hell they're going to go undefeated. But if you watch this game, the first half for the Eagles was very head-scratching. It was, I think it was, everybody was looking around at the Eagles like, was these first 10 games of the season fluke? Was it a fluke? Was it, we are just playing bad teams and taking advantage of the bad teams? Or, are y'all really as good as y'all think y'all are? And in that second half, I don't know if it was a conversation in the locker room. I don't know if, Jalen Hurts and the crew, brought it back together. But I have to give my hats off to the Eagles when it comes to being able to go through adversity. And I ain't talking about just last week, but I'm talking about this week within the game itself, and be able to do what you need to do in that last drive to be able to pull out the victory. And I think this is a game that they will look back on week 17, week 18, and say that game got us ready for the playoffs. I think that's what this game was about. And if I'm being honest too with you as well, Ish, I'm very excited to see what the Colts have on Monday Night Football this upcoming Monday, because this will be another primetime opportunity for Jeff Saturday to show what he got. I don't think Jeff Saturday is, obviously the greatest coach in the world. I'm not saying any of that, but it's interesting to see how his team is playing with him at the helm. It's interesting. It's only been 2 weeks so far. We have to see a little bit more of a sample size to see, how he's able to really coach. But these first two games so far, I will say I am more impressed than I thought I would be. And overall for the Eagles, I think this will be a game that they look back on and say, this was the game that propelled us to help us get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I walked away from this one a little bit more concerned than I normally would be, especially because they went ahead and they won the game, right? So there really shouldn't be too much concern. But I am very concerned just by the offense's performance. Like you said, they're coming off their first loss of the season. Inevitably, most people are gonna expect a bounce back. They're gonna expect them to react some sort of reaction, right? And I just didn't feel it from that offense. I didn't really feel that level of urgency, that level of just I don't know. I don't really know what to call it other than just saying, it just seemed like it lacked urgency. They only scored 3 points in the first half, 3 points in the first three quarters, really. And then they get the 14 in the fourth quarter when it matters the most. but there's something to be said about being able to come out and perform on a consistent basis. And the past 2 weeks have kind of showed a level of that, I would say, somewhat still immaturity from Jalen Hurts and that offense, and just not quite being a finished product, which we knew they weren't a finished product, right? And we've been talking about how it's a road, it's a process. But 2 weeks in a row is making me kind of just, I'm opening my eyes just a little bit and looking over there like, hey, Jalen.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Could this also be the adjusting of Dallas Goddard not being there?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think that
you
plays
think
a
that's
part.
A part of it?
I think it plays a part, but at the same time, I'm still expecting, I don't know, I'm still expecting better, I guess is what I want to say from them. And I just didn't feel encouraged by it, is all I'm trying to say. But at the end of the day, I'm not really concerned yet. I'm just kind of opening my eyes a little bit and just saying, hey, Jalen, don't go backwards. Let's keep moving forward and keep getting better as the playoffs come, because the worst thing that can happen for this team now is to start regressing at this time of the year.
Now they do play on Sunday Night Football this upcoming Sunday, and they do take on the Packers, which that would be a game to keep an eye out for, because it wouldn't surprise me at all if Aaron Rodgers would go out there and play with his hair on fire due to losing to the Titans past week. The Packers are in desperate need for a win. Let's just be honest. I think the Packers season is already over with. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's over with. And like we talk about all the time, we were going to continue to keep talking about this until week 18. If you're a good team and we are in the second half of the season, you're supposed to beat bad teams. The Eagles are a good team. The Packers are a bad team. Eagles, you're supposed to take care of business next Sunday. So we'll see if that happens. I think that's a good opportunity of a bounce back game for the Eagles. Again, you said that they didn't score points the way they should in those first three quarters. And this gives them an opportunity to, put up some more points on the board. They, coming into this game, they were leading the NFL with multiple 20-point games with 14 in a row. Obviously, that streak is gone now. But again, I think everybody has to have one of these clunkers from time to time. It is. The Rams won the Super Bowl last year, right? And they lost to the Titans. Matt Stafford had an ugly game. The Rams lost to the 49ers last year. It's just some things just happen. It is what it is. But if you are at the end of the season holding a Lombardi trophy, nobody even thinks of those losses that you took in the regular season.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. All right, let's go ahead and move on. And speaking of offense not being there, and speaking of accountability, apparently somebody on the Jets organization didn't want to take accountability for the offense that was put out on the field. And we're going to keep it short and sweet on when it comes to the football part on the football field. It wasn't too much to talk about. A lot of punts, a lot of no offense on both sides of the ball until the last punt at the end of the game was returned for a touchdown. Now, there were I'm pretty sure you saw the film, but there was a lot of pushback on if the last block on that return should have been called a block in the back.
Yeah, I saw that.
If you look at it in real time, I'll be honest with you, it's very bang bang. If I was a referee, I wouldn't pull the flag. I wouldn't throw the flag. That's just me. I would have kept it in my pocket. But that's here nor there. If was a fifth, we'll all be drunk, of course. And the biggest fallout from this game is the post talk after the Jets lost. A reporter asked Mr. Zach Wilson if he felt as though that Zach and the offense let the defense down with the performance that they had, and he said straight up, no. when I watched it at first, I thought he was kind of brushing it off and was kind of like not wanting to answer the reporter's stupid question. That's kind of how I looked at it at first. And then a couple of hours later, I kind of thought about it when it comes to, I don't think that was the right way to go about that, right? And then hours later, you start hearing some rumbles that are going on in that Jets organization when it comes to not being committed to Zach Wilson moving forward, head coach Robert Salah, and also apparently players amongst the organization as well feels the type of way about Zach Wilson not taking accountability for the loss. We just talked about Justin Fields recently, and I was just reading a tweet saying that even after he got hurt, he apologized to the team for the performance that the offense put up there, right? And I can go on and on and on and on with multiple quarterbacks out here in the NFL that's going to do the right thing, as in be accountable, right? To see talk show hosts get in on Zach Wilson, to see former players and current players, obviously there must be something going on in New York that it just seems as though that nobody's really that sold on Zach Wilson. He's played well. I'm sorry, he's played okay here and there, but for the most part, he's played pretty badly, and he hasn't been consistent unless it's been bad play. So, with that being said, Ish, is his Jet tenure already over before it even starts?
It might not be, and the only reason why I say that is because the quarterback market right now just isn't what it has been in years past. I don't really know what the free agent market looks like for quarterbacks in the upcoming off season, but I don't think it's that great. And then as far as draft class, I don't know that the Jets are going to want to spend a really high pick on a top quarterback. So that's a whole nother situation that they're going to have to deal with. So I don't see who they replace him with. And I think that would be the only reason why he ends up staying, right? If they can't find a better replacement at a cheaper price, and when I say cheaper price, I mean you don't want to ransom the entire organization to move up and get a quarterback when you just selected this guy in the top two, right? So
Yeah. I feel like the Jets are in between a rock and a hard place right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You obviously want to commit to the guy that you picked number 2 in the draft, but from what I'm hearing, it seems as though he's been very babied all his life. He's been given everything that he's been wanting since he was a kid, and anytime adversity hits him, he doesn't adjust to it very well. So it's interesting. Let me get to the quarterbacks that will be free agents in 2023. You have Tom Brady, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jimmy G, Teddy Bridgewater, Danny Dimes, Case Keenum, Mason Rudolph, Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smith, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton. We'll go Mike White, CJ Beathard, and we'll stop with Kyle Allen. So Lamar Jackson, Taylor Heinicke, again, just to name a few. But I mean, it's not like Tom Brady gonna come to the Jets, right? It don't matter how much money you throw at him, he ain't gonna go be a quarterback for the Jets. The only upgrade that I can see that can maybe happen will be Baker Mayfield. Maybe Baker Mayfield. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, Joe Flacco's on your roster already, so I mean, I don't know where the Jets turn right now. I don't know what the Jets are going to do, because it seems as though that they have some good pieces, right? The defensive side of the ball. You have Garrett Wilson on the offensive side of the ball. Breece Hall, of course, he won't be back to next season. So it seems as though you have some of these pieces, but it seems as though for the Jets, they need a real leader. So that's really what it comes down to. Maybe they bring in the Brady effect just for 1 year, right? Come in for 1 year just to be the leader and then move on type shit.
I'm not going over there.
Hey, Brett Favre did it. I'm just going to leave it at that. Brett Favre did it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Rams and Saints. Now this one here, I'm gonna say it before you say this. My Super Bowl pick is done. Stick a fork in them. Might as well just get ready for the beach this summer, or this in or late December, early January, because you're not going to playoff Rams. So it's over with. And I don't know about you, Ish, but I think we were a little too quick to hop on the Matt Stafford going to the Hall of Fame bandwagon. What I mean
by he was going to the Hall of Fame?
Not you. I'm saying we as a whole. I'm talking about everybody. Remember, after he won Super Bowl last year, everybody was saying we stamp him. He's automatically in the Hall of Fame now. It was just the Lions that was holding him back. He's such a great quarterback as Dan the third. I'm not saying that I was one of those people, but I did say, you know what? I can understand why people would say he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Passing yardage and this and that and third and blah, blah, blah. But his career wasn't over with yet, right? He still has more years to play, and he's playing it this year, and he's just not performing well at all. And it's not necessarily all his fault, but when you're the quarterback, you get all of the glory, and you're going to have to get some of this blame as well too. And for the Rams to lose this game, I understand it was an away game. I understand the Saints were favored, but the Saints are just not who they are, as in they're a shell of themselves. They're just I don't think they're a good team this year. And the Rams, I feel as though, should have taken care of business. But with that being said, Ish, I really don't have a question for you. I just want you to tell me how you feel about these two teams, and I guess maybe we can talk about what they're going to be doing for next season, because both of these teams, their season is over with.
No, for the Rams, it's just disappointing to really see what happened now. Darrell Henderson, he was let go. Mm-hmm. They say he didn't play on Sunday because he had some knee issues, but I don't really know how much of that I believe. It's just it's an interesting situation going on in LA. Allen Robinson he was targeted 5 times, 4 receptions, 47 yards, a touchdown. I mean, it's slightly an improvement, I guess. It's an improvement, but it's definitely not what we were expecting when he was signed to LA. So
now, can I ask you a question? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
You brought up about the Darrell Henderson being let go, right? Mm-hmm. Early in the season, there was rumblings of Cam Akers not being pleased with his role in the running game, right? Let's go back even further to a guy named Todd Gurley, right? A guy named Todd Gurley, unfortunately, his career ended a lot sooner than it should have due to knee injuries. And I'm not saying being ran into the ground, but maybe the style of play might have shortened his career. I'm asking you this. Do you think there's something going on within the organization that, mainly on offense, I'm using the offensive side of the ball, that some of these offensive players are letting Sean McVay know, like, look, Sean, look, coach, I understand what you're trying to do, but the way that we are running this type of offense is not conducive to what we need to do with the offensive pieces that we have now. Because you and I both know when it comes to coaches, egos stuck in their own way, and look at what I did last season. I can replicate that same stuff, right? Do you think Sean McVay is trying to show folks, like, look what I did last year, won a Super Bowl. Let's run it back and let's do the exact same thing we did this year. But from what I know, and you as well, Ish, great coaches make adjustments. And that's why you see a guy like Bill Belichick still doing what he's doing to this day, because he might be that old grumpy fogey, but he knows how to adjust. And I think that's something that we need to definitely take a deeper look into when it comes to this Rams team is Sean McVay not able to evolve the same way some of these older coaches are evolving as well, Ish?
Honestly, that's how I feel about the Saints right now. Okay. The Saints are missing Jameis Winston. I can't believe I keep saying the Saints are missing Jameis Winston.
Come on, go ahead and say
Oh
it.
my
I know
god!
you're a
I
smart guy.
no, I really don't. I don't want to talk about Jameis Winston and the Saints because
Be a hater.
it's sad that the Saints are missing Jameis Winston like this, and it's sad that Matt Stafford and the Rams are last in that division. Maybe Cliff doesn't get fired because he finishes ahead of the Rams. It just dawned on me.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
It's possible they could finish in front of the Rams, and the Cardinals might consider that
a win. Maybe we need to keep Cliff one more year. The guy's in third place.
I mean, it's there. I don't know. I don't know what this Rams team is gonna be able to do. I do think there is something going on that offensive side of the ball. You got Darrell Henderson getting let go. You got Cam Akers rebelling or doing whatever he was doing before. Mm-hmm. And then you got Matt Stafford not throwing the ball to Allen Robinson. Maybe they just need to come to Jesus moment, but I think they can probably call up Aaron Rodgers, and maybe they all can get together while they watching the playoffs at home.
You stupid. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Lions and the G-Men. The Lions pull off the upset, I feel as though, of the weekend, or maybe one of, depending on how you look at it. But I'll keep this very short and sweet. The Lions came to play. I feel like the Giants did not. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'll let Ish talk about his boy Danny Dimes.
No, I think it's very, very clear that Lions came to play. The Giants did not come to play. They were not ready. They were not prepared. Danny Dimes, he threw for 341 yards, so that's something. But 2 interceptions, it doesn't look good. And, Saquon also 15 rushing attempts, 22 yards. I think when you have something like that happen, you're not going to have a very successful day. And, Travis. Yeah.
Yeah, Travis. Ish, you might have laughed when Travis said, "Let's go Lions," but I know I definitely didn't because I picked the Lions to win this game. But of course, we'll talk about
the Lions should not have won this game, but
won pretty convincingly.
Because Saquon decided he wanted to be the Saquon of old, and Danny just couldn't carry the team.
Hey, you said it, not me. Travis also said almost called the Eagles game as well. No, you didn't almost call anything. You just want everybody in your division.
Yeah, you just want everybody in your division to lose.
That's not even the same thing as calling a game, but we'll move on from that one. Let's get to don't be upset right quick. Of course, I picked the Lions and the Giants. I did take that L with the Texans not getting a dub over the Commanders, and Ish had the Bears over the Falcons. We know how that, of course, game turned out. Let's go ahead and move on to if I was a betting man. Now, this was a fun one. Let's go ahead and recap these lines. Now, Saquon Barkley under 95.5. We just talked about this, right? Lions held them to 24 yards. Got that one. Stephon Diggs under 87.5 receiving yards. He was under. Got that one right. Joey Slye over 1.5 field goals made. He made 3. So with that being said, all we needed was good old Matt Ryan, right? All we needed was good old Matt Ryan to complete over 23 completions. Guess what Matt Ryan did? He completed 23 completions. So what does that mean? What does that mean, Ish? It doesn't mean that I lost. It doesn't mean that I won. It means that it was considered actually a push. So instead of winning the big moolah, I won a little bit of some. So I'll take that. A win is always, a push is always better than a loss. So I'll take that.
Oh yeah, it's better than what you've been doing. So
you ain't lying on that. So I got me a little extra money in my pocket. Shout out to that 4-game parlay, and we're gonna go ahead and of course keep moving to the Panthers and the Ravens. Ravens came in as a 13-point favorite, won by 10. But besides all of that, the Ravens were definitely struggling with the Panthers throughout this whole game. It was 3-3 ball game going into the second half. And we already know the Panthers are out of the playoff race. Like we're not worried about them. They're now committing back to Sam Darnold. They don't know what the hell they're doing at the quarterback position, right? But for the Ravens, I know it's not that close yet into the playoffs. But if I'm the Ravens, I would want to be trending a little better upwards to where we are playing better football. And right now, I just don't see it with the Ravens. But of course, they are a dangerous team once you get them in a one-game playoff, and I think they could beat anybody in the AFC. But right now, I just need to see them play a little bit better.
Well, the problem the Ravens are going to have that if they're not careful, it could become a very serious problem. Is they're not trending well, and it's not like they have a significant lead in their own division. Like the Bengals are one game behind them. And that could very quickly turn into a situation where now you're playing for a wild card spot, and everybody has to remember, while the Jets did lose to New England and now they no longer hold a wild card spot, they too are one game behind the Ravens. Then you have teams like the Chargers who are 2 games out. So you have to do your job and finish this and close this out.
Yep.
And for the Ravens right now, it's just not looking good. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look convincing. They are having a lot of struggles on offense. They're not able to close out drives. They're not able to convert on third down. There are just so many things that are going on that if they don't clean this up, they very well could miss the playoffs.
No, I 1,000% agree. And just looking at the AFC standings at the moment, like you said, I mean, you have 4 teams right now with 7 wins. 2 of those teams are in the same division. And then you have the third team, which is I'm talking about the Patriots, of course, in the AFC East at the moment, right on their tail. And then you have the 4th place team in that division with the Jets with 6 wins as well too. So I mean that the AFC is what I expected it to be this year, which is the Wild Wild West. The NFC is lackluster for the most part. I think is really 3, maybe 4 teams that have a legit shot to making the Super Bowl. But for the AFC, there is a legit 6, 7 teams, and that's including the Bengals because they went there last year. So I'm gonna throw them in there. So you got the Bengals, the Patriots, the Bills, the Ravens, the Titans, the Dolphins, and the Chiefs who have a legit shot at making the Super Bowl this year. So once we get into week 14, it's about controlling your own destiny. We hear it all the time. Control your own destiny. You don't have to worry about such and such losing. You have to worry about such and such this going on. You win your games, you'll be in a good spot, and you'll be able to, of course, take care of your business while we get to the playoffs. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to 2 teams that will not be in the playoffs this year. Well, maybe the Commanders. Not so much for the Texans. They'll be in the playoffs for the NFL draft next upcoming season. But for the Commanders, they get another win under their belt and allows them to be just that much closer to maybe even a playoff berth. Right now, they are actually, my apologies. Right now, they are technically in the playoffs. The playoffs started today. Thank God it doesn't, because nobody wants to see the Commanders lose in the playoffs once again. So when this is all said and done, I'll just keep it short and simple. Short and simple on this one. Will the Commanders make the playoffs this year?
It'll be very close. It'll be very close. The thing they have going for them, although they are in the NFC East, and they still have some divisional games. Everyone else in their division still has divisional games, and also in the NFC West, which is the only other team right now that the only other division right now that has multiple playoff teams. The 2 teams that are making the playoffs from the NFC West are sitting at 6-4. So realistically speaking, with just a couple of losses or a couple more wins, Washington could be in the wild card spot, and we could see all 4 NFC East teams go.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, looking at Washington's remaining schedule, I think They very much could, but I don't see them making it. I see them being just on the outside looking in. The reason why I say that is they've got Atlanta next. They go on the road to the Giants. They have a bye week. Then they host the Giants. Then they have the 49ers on the road, Cleveland at home, Dallas at home. For me, I think realistically they split the Giants games. Then you've got to beat San Francisco. At this point, if you want to make the playoffs, you got to beat San Francisco. I don't think they're going to beat San Francisco, but they're going to have to beat San Francisco in order to give San Francisco another loss, and that'll help them with head-to-head. It helps them on so many fronts by beating San Francisco, because San Francisco has a pretty rough schedule remaining. They've got the Saints, they got the Dolphins, Tampa Bay, Seattle on the road. They got the Commanders at home, the Raiders on the road, and then the Cardinals at home to close it out. So
now we talk about all the time how the 49ers get better at the end of the season. So
and that's why
it might look rough, but it might be something a perfect storm for the 49ers to get ready for
perfect storm for them to get in the playoffs and make some noise. So that's why I think that ultimately they make it, and Washington does not.
I love that answer. We'll go ahead and move on to a team that you just said. The Las Vegas Raiders took on the Broncos. I know Ish is probably shaking his head once again when it comes to picking the Broncos, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Ish, I was agreeing with you. I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure the Broncos are going to win this game. I don't know why I'm picking the Raiders. I'm an idiot, but for the one time in a million time, they finally came through, and game-winning touchdown pass to Davante Adams, who leads the NFL in receiving touchdowns. Now, what's funny about that is the amount of dysfunction and lack of success that has gone on with the Raiders. How in the hell Davante Adams leads the NFL in receiving touchdowns?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea.
That happened.
That's a crazy stat to call out, but I mean, sure, I guess it doesn't change anything about where the Raiders currently sit, because the Raiders are still sitting there at 3-7. You're not making the playoffs, so I guess you just gonna make as much noise as you can before you get up out of there for the season.
Get them incentives, baby. You already know how them contracts be. If I score 10 touchdowns this season, go ahead and pay me my money. Yeah. So if that's the case, hey, go get your money, boy. And really not too much to talk about in this game. I don't want to talk about Let's Ride. Don't want to talk about Russ and the Broncos. Y'all
There's no need.
Pack it up. Pack it up. Get ready for next season. Y'all 3-7 as well. Very disappointing from both of these teams, if we're being honest. Disappointing in this conference. This division, the AFC West. It's just disappointing. As for the lack of better terms, disappointing. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Speaking of disappointing, the performance that the Minnesota Vikings put up against the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm hoping Travis is still on, because I know he's been waiting for us to talk about this game. Look, we talked about it on the Sunday show when it comes to what's probably been off the Cowboys winning the game. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody was a little surprised how they won it when it comes to putting this butt whipping on them. And I know it's something that Travis talked about to me when he said, hey, I wasn't expecting for the Cowboys to win like this. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't expecting a beatdown like this. But it doesn't fucking matter. What I mean by that is the Cowboys could have won 400-3. If your ass, I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys, if your ass do not beat the Vikings in the playoffs, which could happen, as in they can meet up once again in the playoffs, this game doesn't mean dilly squat. So, with that being said, Ish, is this the Cowboys team that you expect? This type of performance that they just put on the Minnesota Vikings. Do you feel as though that they can replicate this moving forward and not have the performance in the regular season? Fuck the regular season. It's the postseason. Can they continue to have this type of performance in the postseason, in the NFC Championship game, and in the Super Bowl as well?
Yeah, I definitely think they can. I think they've always had the talent to do it. It's just the mindset of being able to go out there and execute. And another thing you got to think about when you're looking at this Cowboys team, that 1-2 punch of Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, that just takes them to a place that honestly speaking, it's the thing that we all say so much about these playoff teams. If you're a team that can run the ball and grind it out, you're going to do well in the playoffs. And as long as the Cowboys can continue to do that, they can continue to utilize that 1-2 punch. I think, yeah, they definitely are a contender, a true contender in the NFC. And I don't know. I think that for me, I learned a lot about the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings are as good as their record says they are. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings are true contenders in the NFC. I think that they're a good team. I think that they're able to beat a lot of teams out there. But ultimately speaking, I don't think that they are better than all these teams. I just think that they happen to match up better against certain teams. And I think the NFC East teams that they've played have exposed them for not really being those guys.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because the only two teams that have beaten them so far are those two NFC East teams. So is it just a division thing when it comes to the NFC East? Is just has their number right now? They obviously beat the Commanders, but they lost to the Giants and the Cowboys. Or is it just those two teams are better than the Vikings? And right now, if you want to rank those NFC teams, the Vikings might be number 3 or 4, and the Giants and the Cowboys are just better than the Vikings. Could you see something like that ish, or is it just the Vikings aren't as good as what you expected, or maybe I expect them to be?
I think the Vikings just don't match up well against NFC East teams. The NFC East teams, especially the two teams they've played, are two teams that I would say have the better defenses in the conference. They're probably one of the top 3 defenses in the conference for both of those teams. I also think both those teams play really well against the run. Both those teams have good pass rushers that can get at you in multiple ways beyond just your standard blitzing. So I think it's a matchup issue more so than it is that they're just not good. And I think that the problem with that matchup issue is that these are the same matchups you'll have to get through to make it to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately don't think it's as simple as adjustments in this situation. I think they're just outclassed and outmanned at the positions where it counts in the trenches. And I don't know that they'll be able to withstand what they're gonna face in the playoffs against teams like this.
Let me get to the comment section right quick. I also want to piggyback off what you said when it comes to players in the trenches, and I was going to talk about that in a second. But Fracture One says, would plugging in another QB put the Vikings over the hump? I don't see any QB that can do that for them next season because this ain't the year. He also says, is it time to blow up the Vikings and start over? I'll answer these questions first. I don't think plugging in another QB is going to, quote unquote, get them over the hump because, I mean, like we talked about the free agent quarterbacks for next year, Brady ain't going to come there. Baker Mayfield, it's just my opinion. Baker Mayfield's not better than Kirk Cousins. The only quarterback I think that you can maybe put in there and maybe get over the hump, maybe Jimmy G. I don't see Lamar Jackson going to Minnesota. Again, he's a free agent. I don't see Lamar Jackson going there. So at the moment, the Vikings are just like who we talked about with the Jets. You're kind of stuck right now. You're kind of stuck with what you have. But that's okay because you gave Kirk Cousins this boatload of money anyways. So Kirk is going to be the one to get you over the hump, or you're going to move on. And then I also double down on this question that Fractal asked when it comes to blowing up the Vikings. Hell no, it ain't time to blow up the Vikings.
No, I think this is their time. This is their time. The Packers are weak. The Packers are weak in the division. Yeah. They don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
The Lions are still in the process of building, and Chicago is still
your time also in the process of building. This is their time. Be over the Packers for a couple of years. There's no reason to blow. You have the division. It's just adding those 1 or 2 more pieces that will finally get you over. And it is not the QB position. I really don't think it's hurt. If anything, you need to add another pass rusher. That's why I thought that Ndamukong Suh was always going to sign with Minnesota. They were in talks earlier in the season with Suh maybe going to Minnesota. That obviously didn't happen. It fell through. Suh's obviously with the Eagles, but they have to get another premier pass rusher. Because when the Vikings were good, is when you had a guy like Jared Allen, when you have a guy like Linval Joseph, when you have guys on that defensive line side, and also, of course, on the defense side, period, that can get to the quarterback, that can help you get the ball back to your offense, obviously score more points. And I think their defense is okay, subpar. It's not great, but if they want to get over the hump, they have to add another piece to that defensive side of the ball. It's too late now. Obviously, trade deadline is gone, but with a performance like that no, I'm not calling a Sue a pass rusher. I'm calling Sue a guy that can help on the defensive line. That's what I'm saying. I know what he is. He's a run stopper. Yes, thank you, Lee. I know what he is. What I'm saying is he's a guy on that line that can help when it comes to obviously making that defense better as a whole. What I've said is that the Vikings need a pass rusher. That's what they need to be able to move on and get over the hump. And of course, you can't forget about the GOAT, John Randall. Thank you for that as well, Mr. Fracture Walnut. Yeah. So again, for the Vikings, I don't see it happening this year. I picked them to go to the NFC Championship game and lose, and I think that's as far as they will go. But until they get another piece, mainly on the defense side of the ball, and then also maybe who knows, maybe another piece on the offensive side of the ball as well too for next season, then maybe that can help them push them over the hump. But as always, we'll wait and see on that one. All right, let's go ahead and finish this up so we can get Ish on to sleepy time because he's sleepy. The Bengals versus the Steelers. Bengals took care of business, getting their revenge game against the Steelers, but it was not an easy win at all. The Bengals, I won't say struggle with the Eagles, but it was it's with the Steelers. But again, it's the divisional game. You know how those games are; they're very weird. And the Bengals, of course, come out of that game with a 7-point victory. We know that the Steelers season is over with. Steelers will not be over 500 this year. We'll just go ahead and leave that alone. But for the Bengals, is this the beginning of them making a push to the playoffs and maybe make another Super Bowl run as well?
Well, I think they've been pushing for some time now. They've just been trying to figure out what's going on with that offensive line before they really, get there and truly reclaim their spot at the top of the AFC North. But yeah, I think they've put two good games together in the last two games they played. They beat Carolina, had to bye, then they beat Pittsburgh. And now, they start to get into their gauntlet form, I guess, their gauntlet time, because we're going to find out a lot about them in the next couple of weeks. They got Tennessee on the road, Kansas City at home, which is going to be a big game, Cleveland at home. At this point, I believe Deshaun Watson will be back, so that shouldn't be a walk in the park. They got Tampa Bay on the road and then follow up with New England on the road, which those are two rough back-to-backs, I think, for a young quarterback to have to play those two teams back-to-back. Buffalo at home, another heavy contender, and then Baltimore to close the season. I just don't know that they're going to go on a run, but is it going to be a good run? Is it going to be a bad run? And are you going to, when all the dust settles, are you going to be able to make the playoffs? Because I'm going to tell you right now, Cincinnati sitting at 6-4. You got the Jets sitting at 6-4. The Chargers sitting at 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
And even Indy sitting at 4-6-1. Can potentially, all those teams can push you if you drop too many games. So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yes, sir. I want to get to these comments right quick from Travis and Lee. First things first, Travis and Lee, y'all going to be patient, okay? Y'all not going to force us to make no picks tonight. Y'all know we don't do no picks on no recap show. Y'all know this, all right? Y'all been with us for a long time. Y'all know we don't do no future picks. Now, what we going to do, though? For y'all, Ish is going to have his picks. We're going to, of course, make our graphics on Thursday, but we will have a special Thursday pregame show It'll be quick 20-minute, 30-minute show. Won't be an hour long. But of course, we'll announce our picks for Thanksgiving, and of course, we'll have a graphic to put out on social media to let y'all know who we pick. Fracture Walnut asks, would the Steelers have a better record if TJ Watt never got hurt? They look like they missed him morale-wise.
Yeah, I think so. I think
I mean, they'll have a better record, but will they have a record over 500? It would be the real question. That's the real question.
I don't think so.
I agree. Yeah,
I don't think that drastic, record, but yeah, I think they'd be better, a little bit better, but not drastically better.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page on that one. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the Chiefs and the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. And of course, we know our Chiefs fans are in the house and watching that game. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've always felt like the Chiefs are going to win that game. It don't matter. It don't matter how far down the Chiefs get from the Chargers. They just find a way to snatch victory from defeat from the Chargers. And Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, right? I mean, what more can you say? Those two boys do it once again. And I think I know I'm gonna sound premature, but I think we're starting to get in the realm of, is Travis Kelce one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game? He's getting into that realm. At one point in time, it was him and Kelce, right? I'm sorry, Kittle. My apologies. It was Kelce and Kittle. At one point in time, everybody was saying 1-2-1-2. I think Kelce has separated himself. Just Kittle, just due to injuries, of course, and things like that, I think has kind of slipped away. But consistency and just as a tight end, changing the game, just playing as a wide receiver, but being on the same page with your quarterback, it seems as though time and again, the crazy catches they make, the crazy things they do together. Of course, we saw the shovel pass that Travis Kelce tried to pitch back to Patty Mahomes. That, of course, got thrown. The play got blown dead. I'll end it with this ish. Is a Super Bowl or bust for the Chiefs this year?
Yeah, I think it is Super Bowl or bust. I mean, I think if we're trying to be like fake modest, you'd say like, no, they just need to, make it to the conference championship game. But I think no, they've proven the conference championship game is like the floor for them.
Okay, yeah,
they need to start. They need to make sure that they are going out there and leaving no doubt they need to go to the Super Bowl, and then they need to make it to the Super Bowl and perform.
Great question, Fracture. I love the question because I want to hear his answer too on this one.
I think I need a couple more. I need another year or two from Travis before I really put him in there. But I mean, and also I want to say this because those kind of questions, I think for me, can I just appreciate both of them and acknowledge?
No, you can't. No, you can't. It's Jordan versus LeBron. You gotta pick one.
And can I acknowledge that they played in different eras?
No,
because I think the past happy era that we're in now, and having a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, which is a generational talent. I mean, that changes a lot of things, right?
You're 1,000,000% correct. But unfortunately, we don't live in that stupid society as in actually thinking logical of sports. It's crazy, right? It's crazy to me that people don't think logically of sports in different eras and things like that in the third. Because you can't compare these two. If Tony Gonzalez got 16 targets thrown to him every game, Tony Gonzalez put up crazy numbers, bro.
Yep.
Let's not act like Tony Gonzalez was the bum, because he definitely was not. He just didn't get the ball. He didn't get passes thrown to him 16 minimum times a game. I think he maybe have gotten 8 targets, and he was able to catch all 8. So just imagine if his production doubled. I mean, it'd have been. I would love to see these two guys in different. I would love to see Travis play in the early 2000s, late 90s, and I would love to see Tony play in this era to see how he would perform in this era. But hey, that's here nor there. You know how that always goes. Let's go ahead and move on because, again, that's pretty much look, when it comes to the Chiefs, we're waiting for them to get to the conference championship game. Or play against the Bills in the playoff once again. That's what we're waiting on. And then we'll talk more about the Chiefs moving forward. Let's go ahead and end it tonight on the Monday Night Football game, the game that got me confused yesterday because I was trying to figure out why in the hell is it raining inside of a domed stadium.
Oh my
and
gosh!
I realized, oh, we're in Mexico City. Okay, that's interesting. I was wondering why there's so many Hispanics in the stands. Okay, cool. So with that being said, hell of an atmosphere, hell of a game if you're a Niners fan. I hope you weren't one of like the 3 different Cardinals fans that was in that stadium trying to root on Colt McCoy and the Cardinals. I think the biggest takeaway from this game, honestly, is how well Jimmy G played. 4 touchdowns on the game, 20 for 29, 228. If they can get that type of performance from Jimmy G, yeah, they're probably minimum going to the NFC Conference Championship game. If they're able to get that type of performance. But we all know that doesn't happen on a consistent basis. If anything, we expect Jimmy G to not throw any touchdowns and the team, of course, lead him to victory. So is this a fluke-ish or is this a trend?
I don't think it's a fluke. I think the 49ers they're getting to that part of the season where they start to warm up and start to play up to their potential. Also, you got to think with the addition of CMC and then them integrating him more and more each week, it's going to be hard for some teams to play against a team like this. DeMeco Ryans has had that defense playing well the entire season. The offense has been hit or miss, but you can clearly see when the offense is on, they're on. And for the Cardinals, very quickly they're going to put themselves out of the contention to even be sniffing the playoffs at this point. I think the Cardinals are just it's a shame. Second half of the season, what happens to the Cardinals, and we're seeing it now even with DeAndre Hopkins. It really doesn't matter. They're just not able to win games the second half of the season for some reason. And Cliff, he probably should go.
I'm about to go jump off a cliff soon.
Yeah.
But again, I will say being a coach either in college or pro is probably one of the best jobs to have because even when you get fired, you get a nice little payout. So,
yep.
I mean, is it really that bad of a thing to get fired nowadays, especially as a head coach? I don't think so. But I'll just wrap it up with this. I'm worried. If I'm in the NFC, you better watch out for the 49ers because the 49ers are coming and they are full steam ahead. And the offense looks better than it ever has before. I'm talking about the pieces that's involved.
Yeah, let's not say that the offense looks better because I'm still not sold on Kyle Shanahan and some of the nonsense he got them doing out there.
Hey, got them to a Super Bowl against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It might be nonsense, but it's been proven so far to work. I'll say this. And this is a guy that used to play wide receiver that loves the ball being thrown all across the field. I'll take Kyle Shanahan's offense over Sean McVay's offense any day of the week.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would agree. I would agree. Yeah, Kyle's been hurt since Kyle came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they really out there wishing they had kept that stipulation on the contract.
Speaking of immature quarterbacks from New York and also in Arizona, right? But hey, that's here nor there. That organization decided to give that little man $100 million, and they're going to have to deal with the consequences. So We'll see what happens with that. We're going to go ahead and get up out of here for another week recap of Week 11. Say that 5 times fast. And I will see y'all on Thursday to, of course, talk about the pregame.
I might pop in
pregame show. Ish, if you're busy, don't be over here don't be burning the turkey trying to come over here and talk about football for a couple minutes. But I told y'all if Ish isn't here, we'll have a special guest on here. And if the special guest isn't here because they're too busy, I'm going to be here for y'all. So don't worry. Somebody going to be here. We're going to talk a little bit about some football. And then I'm going to let y'all go and so y'all can enjoy your family, enjoy your food. And as always, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to X Talking Ish. We'll see y'all on Thursday for a special Thanksgiving show. And then, of course, back on Sunday for our Week 12 preview show. Technically, Thursday will be the Week 12 preview show, but not really. It'll be 3 games, and then we'll recap the rest of the week.
Yeah, we know what we got.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. All right, and then with that being said, we will see y'all on Thursday and as well on Sunday. See you next time.
Peace.